Talk It ZIPINAR. It's a special webinar where we try to incorporate as much knowledge as we can give to our viewers. Give to the community, because we believe in an empowered and informed community. And for that, we try to put in 2 speakers in the 1 hour that you will be spending with us. The Let Us Talk It platform is a platform where innovation happens, interaction happens, and we would love to hear from you, interact with you. If you have joined in on YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn, please leave your comments, or you can even register or check our website at letustalkit.com and see if you want to be a speaker and you want to promote anything which helps the community. You're more than welcome to do that, and even tell us about it. We will be excited to know. And yeah, we do not stop here. We do our webinars for our youth, younger youth group and older youth group. You can register your kids. It's free public speaking prep sessions that we do, and the youth, they come live every other Fridays and Saturdays respectively. So all these hub and function goes on under the Let Us Talk It platform, and there are many more, for which if you email us at webinar@letustalkit.com, we can give you particular information as well. Having said that, we have 2 terrific speakers today with us, and a first speaker will be talking on the topic of employees' fear on IT auditors, and which is unnecessary. It is a fear of ignorance. And for that, we have with us Sudarshan Mandyam, and he is young at 70, director in 4 companies related to ISO, PCI, DSS, and CMMI audits, among the first batch of CISAs from India in 1990. He's also Vice President of Americas, Africa, and Middle East, covering about 75 countries. He has trained about 7,000 professionals in about 25 countries, and he has completed about 2,000 IT process audits in about 25 countries. I cannot tell more, Sudarshan, how happy and honored we are to have you with so much of experience. We are absolutely honored to have you on this platform of Let Us Talk It. Over to you.
Thank you. Good morning and good evening, wherever you are. I have been an IT manager way back in the 1980s, where we used to have the CPM operating system, and then and DOS was still a baby at that time. I used to see technology. I used to get thrilled also. In those days, was new to technology. Then after about 6 or 7 years, I changed my role from an IT manager to I was the head of IT there, then to an IT auditor. So the big change I saw was, as an IT person, I used to see very little technology because management would not give us money to upgrade our system every day. And over a period of 6 years, I had seen probably only 2 operating systems, and then the same application, same issues, it was all repetitive. But the moment I moved to IT audit, the whole world changed. And so today I visited probably about now 51 countries, and I've seen data centers in almost 25 countries, different times. And then every day I do an audit, I see new technology. Some of the audits, I see something like 10 new applications. So that's where I feel that being an IT auditor makes you access to more technology than what you are if you are like a frog in a well and within an IT. That's the summary of my talk today. I just have 7 slides. I'll just share my slides, and then can you all see the slide here?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. Normally, whenever an auditor comes, there's a lot of talk. Oh, auditor is coming. Let's be careful. let's pack things properly. So that fear is not required at all. Actually, auditor is your friend. That's the message today. Let's talk about auditor. Most of you probably are also auditor. Maybe you're not aware that you are an auditor. For example, somebody has written a code and he gives you, can you please test it? Because it goes to the customer. I don't want any complaint from the customer. Can you find out the bugs and tell me? So we try to correct the software before it goes to a customer. Some of you might have played that role of being a tester. So you're also, in a way, it is a sort of an audit. Any sort of an independent review. Sometimes you write a proposal, it has to go to the manager and then the senior manager. Ultimately, the customer sees the proposal. And before that, there's a lot of review. Then you have some close friend who's your maybe classmate or a college mate or maybe batchmate in when you join the company. Say, can you please see if there is any mistake because I'm giving it to my boss. So you want to have a very good feedback from your manager. So those situations, there's somebody who does an independent review. The main principle is called the 4 eyes principle. If one pair of eyes does some work, another pair of eyes should review that. This is called known as the 4-eye principle. All of us use this 4-eye principle without probably knowing that we are following the 4-eye principle. This is the age-old principle from audit. Okay. Any sort of an independent review. Okay, this is one. And then the benefit for you is your proposal, you know that it is checked by somebody in whom you have confidence, and then it is a better proposal than what some spelling mistakes. Sometimes there is a font mistake or something. Maybe it's a PowerPoint slide. We always try to get it corrected before we send it to the higher management. And management would like to check it again before it goes to the customer. So in this case, it improves your image within the company. Earlier, it was about improving the customer satisfaction. Now it is improving your own image in the company. Let's say it's a car you are driving and suddenly you find that another vehicle has come. Maybe it's wrong or maybe you have made a small mistake. That's a secondary issue. There is you're going to hit, there'll be an accident. Then suddenly you apply the brake to avoid an accident. So no doubt auditors work. Whenever you have an auditor, the process slows down because there is a time required to check. But what is the benefit of having a brake? Okay, that's the next topic. Let's say you have a choice, 2 cars. Okay, not Tesla, let's say. The normal middle-class car, one of them goes at about 200 miles per hour. I thought all the audience is American, so I use the word miles. It has a very strong brake. The next one says it is 300 miles per hour. You are attracted. You want to drive at 300 miles. You are on the highway, but it has a weak brake. When you have this type of a background information, which one would you prefer? You want to face a brake failure when you are driving high? So nobody would like to do that. So they would like to have something, which is a brake. So auditor is like a brake only. He slows down the project, but he protects your life. Okay. He allows you to go fast. Suppose you have a weak brake, you never drive more than even 20 miles an hour. If you know that the brake is strong, then you try to increase the speed. So auditor helps you in accelerating your car. That's the reason I said in the caption that auditor is not a bloodhound. He's not here to catch you or then make you, expose you with some mistakes. He's there to help you in driving fast. So it helps the management. Any internal audit team helps the management in increasing the speed of growth of business. Okay, that is the message we have to take from this session. Although auditor slows down the project or business operation, it's for a good reason. Okay. Management will decide to grow the business faster only if they are very confident of the brake. That is, there is a strong IT audit team to check systems continuously. So auditor is not a bloodhound or not an enemy. Of course, auditor will give a recommendation. It is because he is a sort of a friend, philosopher, and guide. So that's the caption I wrote. Auditor is an SPG for you. He's not your enemy. Okay. I saw an advertisement in one of the audits I went, and then there was an advertisement for it's not CXO, slightly lower, senior manager or some post was there, senior vice president, I believe. Yeah, remember something was there. And then one of the items they did was requirements, was you should have worked in an internal auditor role at least for 1 year. So even some of the, I used to work for Bank of India in India. After I left, way back in 96, after 2 years, I went to one, I was one of the probationary officers. Some 2 to 3 lakh people apply, and then about 80 people are selected. So next batch also, about 80 were selected. I met one young person there, and then he was in the audit department. I used to work there, and then I saw him there. Young man, what are you doing here? I asked him. No, I've just joined. Then I asked him, bluntly asked him, why did you offer an audit department? No, I was in the top 10 among the batch. So management, they selected the top 10 of the management trainees and put them in the audit department. Because they are the future leaders for the bank. So that is the benefit of an auditor. And then whatever you may think about yourself or your colleagues or an internal auditor who's at your level, ultimately, when top management want to find out people who should lead the organization, they would like to have someone who has an internal audit experience. So let's take comparison of a person who's directly into operations. He's done his MBA, maybe he's gone through training, he directly goes to operation. He wants to buy some software, or he wants to recruit somebody, or he wants to change the process. He will do it. But at the same time, somebody has worked in internal audit department as internal auditor role, maybe even for 6 months, 1 year, and about 3 to 4 years is a good period. He has worked there, and then he goes back to operations. Then, before he wants to change a procedure, you think, okay, I have seen the audit, and I have done the audit in another department. This procedure may clash with that department. Say, we want to recruit somebody. Why should we recruit? Maybe I have seen there, I have interviewed one person there, he is very good. We can just borrow his time for about a month or 2, and we can complete this project. So the auditor starts, although he's in an operational role now, because of his audit experience, he'll think of the company as a whole. He'll get that bird's eye view of the company. Why should we waste resources? Why can't we use our own internal resources? For a problem in one department, there is a solution in another. For a problem in that department, there is a solution in the third department. Like that, the auditor gets an overall view of the company. He starts thinking like the chairman of the company. It comes by habit. Nobody to teach. If once you work in an audit role, you go to different departments, you get an overall view of the company. So that's what I have tried to explain here. Multinational companies recruit management trainees and post them first in the internal audit department. As I said, the top 10, definitely they'll be there. That gives the trainees a bird's eye view of the company's operations. Sorry about the typo. Other companies who seek CXOs from within the company select those who have worked as an internal auditor at least for a year. This has become a norm in many of the companies. They feel that those who worked in a quality assurance role or a security auditor role or an IT auditor role, whatever there, anywhere they have some sort of a compliance role. If those who have been reviewing the work of others, they have a more matured approach to spending companies' money and then growing business than other people who only work in operations. This is a message. You can talk to any of these large companies and then the top management. Then this is what they look for, somebody who has an overall experience. Okay, that's it about the role of the auditor. Just to give you comfort that auditor is not an enemy or is not a bloodhound, not to catch you, but he is there as a friend, philosopher, and guide. Okay. So we should be opting for an internal auditor role if we get a chance to do that. Within a company is the best one to start, or there are so many third-party companies, like what you call the big 4 companies, they're also there. So that's also a good option. So if you look at the options we have, when I am from the first batch of a CIC, we did in India, in Chennai, I was there at the time in Bank of India. We were 4 of us. Okay. Then there are very few opportunities to work as an IT auditor. So I was forced to go to the Gulf. The Gulf, I used to work for the Chase Manhattan Bank in Saudi Arabia. It's known as the Saudi Investment Bank. That is a good option for me in terms of money as well as the experience of international experience, with various people from, sometimes we feel that we are the best. Sometimes we feel that we are not good. But when you go and work in a multinational environment, with people from multiple countries. That is when, if you do a self-assessment, you come to know where you are very good and where you are not so good. So your whole perception of the way you work about other people, other professionals in IT, changes a lot when you work in a multinational environment. Gulf is one area where you have people from almost 200 countries. Any meeting you go, you'll have people from at least 3 countries there. That's an advantage. So what are the career options for an IT auditor? Okay. Of course, there are general auditors. Here, mainly auditor, one of the attractive one is a penetration tester. There are quite a few certifications, like a certified penetration tester is a popular one. Then the certified ethical hacker is a popular one. Okay. There are quite a few which are IT security operations center. Security operations is becoming very popular now. Companies cannot afford to have their own department. They're outsourcing the entire work of security to a third-party company who maintain security operations for multiple companies. They are connected to all the things, and they have the specialists with them, and then they have all the tools, they make all the investments. Okay, a cloud-based service for security operations. There they will have security analysts, they will have a security engineer for application security, infrastructure security, cloud security. Okay. Then of course, monitoring of all the networks. They do a lot of support to the ISPs in the region. They support many types of companies. That's a good option. It's growing, but the only issue is that it's highly repetitive. If you want some sort of a creative work, then cybersecurity engineer is there. Recently, there is a movement or some sort of a directive from the US Department of Defense, where they have appointed the board, which is for cybersecurity maturity model. About 300,000 companies worldwide, the suppliers to defense, even if they're supplying just stationery, non-IT equipment, anything, they have to be certified for cybersecurity. There's a maturity model. And they expect a huge number of opportunities, for consultant as well as auditor in that. If you have heard of CMMI, that's only about population only 5,000 worldwide. This one will be about 300,000 worldwide. That is the future. It just started last year. In fact, January 2020, they released the model. Only by late November, they started actually auditing. Maybe this Q1 of 2021, some 70 people were qualified in the US. It's not spread to the other countries. It's now permitted only in the US. So this is called the CMMC model. That's a good option. You have to look at something which is coming up. Then there's a lot of demand for application security engineer, mainly because nowadays infrastructure is a code. Earlier, we used to have infrastructure separately. We used to also have, when in college, we used to make fun. Those are really brilliant computer engineers. They go to software. Those are not so good will go to hardware. That is a joke in those days. But now, seriously, if you look at it, software engineers who have never touched IT administration, have never done IT system administration or IT network administration, they are getting the role of creating or configuring networks, configuring systems using cloud. So anyone who is a pure network engineer or a pure system engineer or a pure application developer will not have this thing. But if you go and take up a role as an auditor, like somebody who is independently reviewing, the security part. So main of the security engineer or an IT auditor or a quality auditor, only the roles are different, but the concept is same, that you are going to do an independent review. Somebody has set up a network, you're going to review the network, you're going to review the application. There is an organization called OWASP. Okay. So they have a number of principles on how to test the software. That's an area which is coming up very bright. There's also a software certification, CISSP for the general infrastructure, CCSP for the cloud infrastructure, and then CSSLP for the security engineer. Okay. So maybe you should study all the 3 of them. And then that's an area where recently, about 2 days ago, I have a friend in Bangalore. I asked him, how much do you charge for an application security review? So, and how long it takes? It took about 6 or 7 hours for me. And he's just from a middle class. He charged them $1,000 and they paid. So even in a place like Bangalore, where $1,000 is a very big amount, it's possible to earn so much money. That's an area where you can think of as an IT auditor to improve security. You're also giving good service. And then once you get experience there or in IT security operations, you will find out there is the concept of a big bounty. Companies like Microsoft recently gave something like 1 crore rupees, Indian rupees. Okay? Maybe it's a thing equivalent of $125,000, but just for identifying one small bug. So that's also their big bug bounty programs. You can take part, also make some money for the company thing. The other one is, of course, where I am there, in ISMS lead auditor. That's an option for IT auditor. As I said, I see more technology than what I saw when I was inside the IT as an IT manager, an IT person. I was there for 6 years. Last 25 years, I've been an auditor. I see a lot more technology than what I could have seen if I had just remained like a frog in a well in IT. So that's an option where you could think of coming out of IT and becoming an auditor. Next one is, of course, the CMMI maturity model. It's from the Carnegie Mellon University in US. It's very popular in India, China, Taiwan, and then US, of course. Nowadays in Saudi Arabia, those if you have connections, the Crown Prince, commonly known as MBS, Mohammed bin Sultan, he has made it compulsory for all the government departments to have CMMI. So that's an area where they spend a lot of money, when they decide something. So they spend a lot on technology. It's the second largest spender in the world for any of these initiatives. So that's where you can become an assessor for a capability maturity model. You're going to give them marks, like on a scale of 1 to 5, on what level they have. Level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5, up to level 5 levels we have. The other option is you can just join one of the CPA firms like KPMG. They are not the big four, KPMG, EY, PwC, then Deloitte. Then they have the tier 2 companies. Grant Thornton is there. Then we have Protiviti. Like that, there are quite a few tier 2 companies. Then there are the tier 3 companies. So most of the CPAs want somebody to go with them. They have to confirm that limited companies, which are listed on the New York Stock Exchange, have to give a SOX compliance report. Many of them are not IT. So you can go and join them as an IT auditor. They'll say, can you check this control? You go and check the input controls, output controls. You go and check the access controls. You go and check the physical security controls. And then you don't write the report, but you give your opinion, your own notes, so that the CPA signs the report. SOX is for the main company which is listed. SOC is a systems and organization control is for suppliers to SOX companies. SOX companies have to give a report on SOC about their suppliers worldwide. That is one area which is coming up. As far as in my experience, I've seen this payment card industry is coming up. There's also about HIPAA is there, about healthcare. Okay, there is another high-tech program in US. Okay, not so much, but it's also picking up. These are areas where definitely there is a scope for IT auditor. Those of you who have been in pure IT for a long time, you must have a second look at your career. Okay, this is definitely a good option. Personally, also, I've been able to visit 51 countries because I've been an auditor. I go to multiple countries, I meet people of multicultural. Whenever there's an audit there, weekend, I take a break and then go to them. So cost-wise for you, it becomes cheap to visit multiple countries. It's also, you also meet different people when you go there. Compared to what I did as a professional IT person way back in the 80s, if I go and see the implementation now, I feel a lot of improvement there. The situation on the people are a lot more professional than what we were way back in the 80s. Nobody to blame anybody. The situation are like that. Whatever we used to have are common sense and do that. But being an IT auditor, one of them is it has given me a lot of job satisfaction. Other one is it has opened up my eyes to new forms of technology, new forms of managing things. I would like to just highlight one incident in my life, which actually surprised me. Why you should become an auditor? The motivation for me. I was in one of the Southeast Asian countries, maybe in, I think it is Bangkok somewhere, and then I was doing an audit. At the end of the audit, the CEO, who was highly qualified from, I think, what is it called? Sloan's Institute or some very well-known management institute, an MBA from there. And then I'm just a graduate. So I was afraid to speak to him when he said, no, my audit is okay, I can ask questions. But when I said, I want to spend a half day with you, I want to learn from you, that was a big an embarrassment for me. Also from a local Kannada medium school. No? So I asked my friend, why does he want to meet me? Tell him I'm busy. So I just tried to avoid that meeting and came back to Bangalore. I also told my friend, if you want, let him come and meet me in Bangalore. Casually, I said. But after about 15 days, my friend really called me from there. I said, my boss, you said, no, you are very busy. Oh, now you must be free. My boss want me to book a ticket to Bangalore. So are you free? Oh, I said, my God, I didn't mean to do all these things. I was just saying that I'm coming back for another audit. No, definitely I'll spend half a day with him. So I took permission from my office to stay back in the next audit when I went there. Then I spent half a day with him. And he asked me normal questions which I knew I could answer anyone. I had audited Fortune 100 companies, IBM, Accelerator, things. As an auditor, I was working for BSI, every standard. Then you get chance to meet the top people in the world. You get chance to audit the top companies in the world. Each one has a unique selling point and a secret of success. So I had audited about 25 of the Fortune 100 companies in the world not because of my skill set, but because I was an auditor and I was working for a multinational like Big Four audit firms, KPMG. These are big 10 certification bodies, BSI, TUV. I worked for 5 of them. Okay, SA Global Standards Australia. So when I met him, then after half a day, we had lunch together. And I asked the gentleman, I'm just a graduate. I've not even studied MBA. You are MBA from one of the famous institutes. And I think that is the ultimate education you can get. And then my meeting with you, did it add any value? He said a lot. I said, do you think that I'm fit enough to be equivalent to MBA? Why equivalent to MBA? You are more than an MBA from Sloan, something like that. I said, can you please explain? I'm confused. He said, no MBA in the world can give you the experience that you get being an auditor in multiple countries like this. Okay. So that's the message I want to convey at the end. And if you have any questions, no, we can discuss now.
Thank you very much for that wonderful information. Very informative, Sudarshan. So anyone would like to ask questions, please feel free to unmute yourself.
Yeah, so that was a really great session, and especially the incident that you narrated at the very end. I think that gives, that really tells that your degrees and the affiliations are one side of the coin, and then the real experience and value. So yeah, so nice having this session, Sudarshan garu.
Thank you. Any other question?
You can put your questions through chat or the Q&A option, or you can raise your hand to ask your questions, or send your just give your insights about the presentation.
Oh. This is my contact number. You can connect with me on LinkedIn by using this email ID. These are the websites. I work for 3 companies as a director. These are the websites where my information is available. So one of them is, of course, the certification body, which is a CPG Global. Other one is a PCDSS company, Vishwan Project. And certification body is an Australian company. Vishwan Project is an Indian company, Bombay. Univity is into CMMI. That's a Bangalore-based company. I'm director on all the 3. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. So should I stop sharing? Or this is available with the host, this slide. You can share it with them, whoever wants.
Okay, so everyone, here it is. So if anyone would wish or would want to get in touch with Sudarshan, here are the details. So feel free to ask any questions and connect with him. All right. So thank you so much for sharing about what really is an IT auditor and its core responsibilities. So thank you so much, Darshan. You can stop sharing now,
Thank you.
and
Mm.
we'll
Thank you
just
for this
have them.
opportunity. Mhm.
Thank you so much, Sudarshan. So if there are any other questions, they can just put it on chat or in the Q&A. Now, for the next topic for today, uh, we have a value strategist at Adobe. We'll be talking about propelling enterprise buyer. So seller relationship in 2021 through value selling. So we have today Manoj Kumar, who is a digital transformation and business value enthusiast with 12 years of overall experience in enterprise software products and platform space. And he has also more than 5 years of value selling experience to drive on premise and SaaS based product sales. So he has proven credentials in digital solutions, consulting, and bid management for strategic deals. And I present to you Mr. Manoj Kumar. You can share your screen and over to you. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Phil. So, hi, a very warm good morning and good evening to everyone who are attending this call today. Please let me know if you can see my screen or if I'm audible to all clearly.
Yes, you are very clear and we can see your screen.
Sure. Thank you so much. So I am Manoj Kumar. I'm a value strategist, part of Adobe's digital strategy and solutions group. I have 12 years of experience across enterprise software and SaaS solutions organizations. And my experience is shared across mix of engineering, pre-sales, and value engineering. And the topic for today is value selling. So the image which you are seeing on this screen is around the pace of enterprise selling during these tough COVID times when we are kind of challenged because of lack of co-location, because of all the safety and security concerns, etc. Then how can we keep the buyer and seller relationship going within these constraints, within these tough times? That is what we will try to explore. However, the centerpiece of the article is value and value selling, and how that is presented as a solution to all these difficult problems that we are facing in today's time in maintaining the buyer seller relationship. So, most of us would have seen this, that we have created a very catchy POV for our customers, or we have main, obtained enough rhythm with our customer to lock in on a mutual plan. But still, just before the deal is getting signed, we see a CFO pulling the brakes. We've also seen that how a compelling and well-built business case is able to protect margins for us, is able to move the deals faster, and is able to grow the annual sales value for our accounts. So, with this backdrop, I would like to talk through today's agenda. So we have a very limited time, so I'll try to wrap many things within the 30 minutes. So in the first 5 minutes, I'll introduce you to business value, giving a few of definitions, a few of key assumptions, etc. Followed by what is the role of value in the enterprise sales stages. So we know that every deal or every um, enterprise selling motion moves through a certain set of stages. How does value evolve, and what is the role of value across these stages when we are in a sales motion for an enterprise customer? Then I'll talk about certain tools which can be used to illustrate business value to the customer. Finally, I'll end with an enterprise value selling process, which is in fact a cycle through which enterprise seller and enterprise buyer should interact with, so that a continuous conversation keeps going with the central piece of value in between, um, so that we can reap in maximum benefit in terms of business acquisition and retention. So, before we begin with the introduction to business value, we know that with the onset of COVID, there is social distancing requirements. There are most of the in-person sales meetings have moved to virtual meetings. which has actually put a lot of constraints on buyers and sellers in creating and maintaining relationships. So earlier there were like easy connects in person where we could talk about our minds out. We could kind of gauge the um, and steer the conversation in the way we want. But with these virtual constraints and all of these, value selling techniques can actually help us still drive our enterprise sales process forward, still within whatever limitations we are living with. But before we move into the details about enterprise value, let us take a step backward to understand value at a very, very basic level. So, business value, if we want to explain, it is the key driver behind why our customer needs our solutions. So, if put it into simple words, it means how much money can I generate or how much cost can I save with Adobe or with any solution which you are pitching, instead of how to solve a problem. So, instead of jumping on a solution, first talk about what kind of benefits are available in terms of you. Also, because we start from ab initio, we start from talking about the customer's business challenges, our understanding of their problems and impacts, etc. The customer feels that we are a partner to them rather than a seller to them who is trying to showcase his solution features and functionalities and try to push in his solutions. So that is another advantage of business value. There are two very important concepts. First is that value is an exchange. Value in business market is actually an exchange in terms of what technical, economic, social benefits a customer receives in exchange of price that they are paying. So, in a nutshell, that is shown in the equation that value that a service or a supplier is providing minus price that that he is charging should be greater than value of the alternative minus price of the alternative. So, this is a basic formula by which every sales motion moves through. We have to prove that the exchange you are getting in terms of the cost you are paying is beneficial to you as compared to any other alternative which is available in the market, or not acting is also a very strong alternative. So this is how we pitch value. Value is always customer defined. So this is another very important concept. Whatever business thinks it produces in the first place, that is not important. What the customer thinks he or she is buying is what is valuable to the customer. So we always have to drive value, talk value in terms of the challenges, in terms of the key business requirements of the customer rather than the features of the products or the services that we are selling. So with these very basic concepts driven, let us talk about value in the enterprise space. We might be familiar with some sort of this or any other kind of sales stages that an enterprise sales motion goes through. So sales stage one is where we qualify an opportunity, evaluate the opportunity, try to see what is the account, what is their profile, what are their requirements at a very brief level. Then it moves to sales stage two, where we do a detailed discovery, try to lock in on the mutual plans. Sales stage three is where we define the solution that we want to pitch to them. We validate the same with the customer, and we have a better understanding of where our sales motion is going. Sales stage four is about negotiations and customer commit, and sales stage five is deal close booked. Also after that it moves, this was all the sales journey. Then there is post sales journey, which is sales stage 6, about post sales value realization, where we try to track whether the customer has been able to leverage value from the solution they have bought from us. Now, if we think uh, at which stage value is important. So this is a trick question which I ask in each of the sessions which I take around value. Typically, people say that at sales stage 3 and 4 it is very important. Some people say no, at sales stage 2 value is very important. But the real answer is that value is important throughout the enterprise sales journey, right from the beginning of opportunity evaluation to closure of the sales to the post sales value realization cycle. So business value is something which has to be carried out throughout the enterprise sales motions. However, um, uh, the the tool which is used to illustrate value at each sales stage changes. Let us explore that. For example, at stage one, when we are at a very initial level of discussion, an industry value map is a very important tool or a very fruitful tool to share with the customer. This is where we try to talk at a very high level, mapping around the key business goals which the customer has to key initiatives which they can undertake from a strategic perspective to some key tactics which can be enabled by our solution to a KPI framework which can be helped to track success or failure across that initiative. I'll talk more about it in the next slide. However, this is an early stage value tool which can be explored. Once the customer is convinced around the tactics, the initiatives, they would like to understand, do you have any proof points? Do you have delivered these kind of benefits to other customers as well within my industry? That is where case study is very important. So a case study is a public facing document where we have the key challenges which the customers, which some other customers have faced, how the solution that we are pitching has been able to address those challenges, what kind of KPI benefits did the customers see with the implementation of the solution that were pitched. So this is another proof point to the customer, and it helps us further mature our discussions and get us closer to a mutual plan of action locked in between the seller and the buyer. And stage 3 and 4, where the solution definition, we already have decided on the solution or we are in the process of finalizing it. We already have some idea of the uh, prices or investment the customer is supposed to put in for acquiring the solution, etc. That is where a business case is important. So sales stage 3 and somewhere to the middle of sales stage 4 is where business case is very, very important. It's a document, a well-structured document that helps quantify the benefits and return on investments, some kind of cost benefit analysis, as well as with some detailed proof points, etc., around why investing in the solution is economically and financially viable and makes perfect project management sense for the customer. Uh, Finally, at stage 4, we do customer value scorecard or cross-sell business case. So this is where we, once we have made the sales to the customer, this is where we want to show where they are standing after the end of 1 year or 2 year in terms of uptick against the KPIs, or in terms of what are the gaps still remaining where we can pitch in some additional solutions or cross sell some additional solutions, so that the tech stack or the stack of solutions is complete and they are in best shape to leverage value out of the solutions. So this is a very summary analysis of what value tools are useful at various stages of enterprise journey, followed by industry. Now I'll go one by one into each of these value tools. I'll begin with industry value map. So industry value map is a tool which which is a tree kind of structure. If you read it from left to right, it starts from the broad goals which the customer is looking to achieve, broken down into strategies which can help acquire that goal, further broken down into initiatives and tactics at a very functional level, followed by the KPI which measure the success and failure of that tactic. So you see, this value map is talking about increasing revenue, reducing cost. So in terms of reducing cost, what kind of cost savings it can provide, the solution to provide, optimizing call center costs, optimizing third-party spend, marketing effort. In terms of revenue, it talks about cross-sell, upsell strategy, converting the customer strategy, acquiring customer strategy, further broken down into some of these digital KPIs, etc. I'll not get into details of all of that. I'll just say that how this value map has very succinctly explained and broken down the pockets of benefits, both on increased revenue side and both on reduced cost side for the customer, to get convinced about the solution which is being pitched. So the first two columns are more relevant for executive level audience. So they want to talk about big pictures like growing revenue, increasing online revenue, reducing cost, doing marketing technology rationalization, martech rationalization, etc. All of that. And second tactics and initiative is which is owned by functional leaders or business practitioners who will use the same KPI to track and measure the impact of the solution which is being pitched. So this is a framework kind of a value framework which summarily explains where are the pockets of value lying for the customer. Then we move into customer case study. So a case study is a brief format which talks about um, existing customers of the solution who have used the solution, all its best practices, and have seen some benefits. It very succinctly explains what were the challenges as faced by the customer, what solution, how the proposed solution was able to address those challenges, and with the help of those challenges getting addressed, what kind of results they were able to see across the KPI. For example, company XYZ was able to achieve unique visitor registrations by 3x. They increased the social fan base on their website by 5x, increased the international visit arrivals to 20%, etc. So these are like proof points to the customer to understand that yes, this solution is capable and it has delivered to other um, customers within my peer group, within my industry. Hence, there is a very high likelihood that it should be able to deliver value to our scenario as well. Next value tool is business case. So I briefly touched upon that it is a very powerful uh, document. It's a well-structured document which captures the quantifiable value of a proposed project. It evaluates the benefits against the costs so that a decision maker is able to understand what is the worth of this project and whether it is economically viable to take this project up. A business case is helpful for the customer in the way that it helps them quantify a business problem. It helps present the uplift and ROI calculation, which will provide a financial logic to the products being sold. It helps the customer win over their procurement team. So there is an internal champion who wants to pitch the solution and internally win over the finance and procurement. They can take the business case forward. It also outlines the goal post to value realization. So the business case which is presented, it acts as an artifact, a handoff uh, which the post sales team can consider as a roadmap or as a goalpost to see how much they have realized, where they are they lacking, are they leading, etc. It helps the seller as well. The seller is able to project his credibility when he's trying to talk in terms of business cases, talk in terms of business logic. It helps uncover all those areas where earlier the customer had not seen and it wasn't in their mind. So it helps them expand the opportunities. It helps align on business goals first before we overspend on technical and field support. And it also sets up the post sales team for success, because with the same business case can be used by the post sales team or the customer success managers to check and keep the value conversation going with the customer stakeholders. So I'll show you a very brief snapshot of business cases. So for example, this is a very executive summary of a business case created for XYZ Airlines. It talks about what were their vision and goals, how can the proposed solution help them, what kind of best practices it can provide, and what is the potential value to them in terms of annual recurring increase in revenue. So these are projections done in future in terms of what kind of increase in revenue they can see, what kind of increase in operating profit they can see, what kind of net present value, return on investment, payback period they can see in a conservative uplift scenario. Cost of delay, what is that for every quarter? So this is a opportunity cost of not acting right now. So what is the money which they are leaving on the table by not embarking on the project which is being proposed? Apart from that, we also list some strategic or non-quantifiable benefits which are equally important. For example, higher competitive advantage, brand equity, customer satisfaction, etc. So this is a summary of a business case. The business case further has many slides. I'm just taking a snapshot of a couple of slides in terms of operating profit impact on an annual basis, broken down into increased revenue and improve reduce costs, further broken down into various initiatives within the sub initiatives within the larger goals. So this talks pretty well to the value map which we have shown to the customer. So a lot of statistics, a lot of maths, a lot of benchmarking goes into coming up for these projections. I'm not getting into those details. And also these cost benefit analysis slides are provided in terms of um, bar graph of uh, benefit compared against the cost for each of the year, and how do the benefit come up if plotted across the 3 year or 5 year time span when the project will last, to come up with the ROI percentage, payback period, etc. So these are pretty strong and uh, convincing point for the customer to understand whether the project is viable and there is a financial sense into the whole project. Followed by a lot of supporting material, followed by a lot of third party research, followed by some Forrester Gartner reports or IDC reports, etc., which can further bolster your claim that such kind of benefits are rational, such kind of benefits which we are claiming are conservative and definitely achievable in the client scenario. So I have very briefly talked about, I'll just do a quick recap. I have talked about value. I have talked about value in um, enterprise, various stages of enterprise sales journey. I have talked about various tools for communicating value or illustrating value to the customer. Now, in the next slide, I will talk about a small framework around how a value conversation or a kind of trying to arrive at a kind of model which can steer the value conversation between a buyer and the seller and can act as a guide into how these conversations should proceed. So this is what it is. So we should interweave the value efforts in a way so that we can keep creating opportunities for ongoing buyer seller conversations pivoted on value. Such a process will ensure that each new enterprise sales conversation always moves through the following stages of the value selling process so that we can reap in maximum benefit. For example, it starts with an outside in hypothesis where a seller will create a first cut business benefit calculation based on whatever available data points and industry assumptions that they have. Then they can go to present it to some buyer champion. So this is somebody within the client organization who is keen to and who has an appetite to consume such kind of deliverable from the seller. Once the buyer champion understands the business case methodology, understand the value methodology within it, uh, we can co-develop the business case with the champion. So we can actually partner with the champion to help us discover key challenges the customer is facing, help us come up with relevant business assumptions, adjust the baseline data points, improve the accuracy of our value hypothesis, so that we have a more collaborative and inside out business case created. We can co-present this inside out business case to a larger audience. We can have a readout with executive level or C level stakeholders where we can try to build consensus between the seller and buyer, where the seller and the buyer champion together will co-present the value hypothesis as well as the initial findings to the client decision makers and try to build consensus on the value model as well as on the projections as well as ROI calculations. After that, next step is to adjust to the specific ask. So once we present to larger group and decision makers, they have their own whims and fancies. So the seller and the buyer champion incorporate those feedback, adjust to those specific asks, and again present it to the internal advocacy team and the client decision makers to secure the deal. Once the seller and buyer have signed off on a winning business case, we can transfer the same business case as a value realization framework. So that becomes a target where that winning business case acts as a framework to track the success against the agreed upon KPIs on an ongoing basis. 6 months down the line, 1 year down the line, or 3 years down the line, we try to see whether the same ROI percentages, whether the same uplift on the KPIs, whether the same impacts which were claimed in the initial business case have been realized or not. And then we do the review of the uh, value realization on a quarterly basis or on a half yearly or an annual basis, and do a continuous improvement by understanding the gaps and filling on those gaps, which can lead to either course correction, which can lead to cross selling, upselling, and many more value conversations. So once a new solution comes into picture, again there will be an outside in hypothesis, again there will be a attempt to gain a bio champion, followed by co-development of business case. So this whole cycle keeps going between the enterprise buyer and the enterprise seller, so that the central pivotal idea of value maintains between all the discussions, and a healthy value and a healthy enterprise buyer and seller relationship is maintained. So I have tried to rush very fast to all these slides. I know these are a little heavy in terms of grasping all the concepts. However, this is a very good primer on value, and there are tons of content online. There are many best practices, there are many tools, there are many ways in which business cases are made. So all of that can be read, but this is a very brief summary about value. And in case you have any more questions or any query around value selling, please reach out to my email ID, which is provided here. Apart from that, you can always look for more content around digital transformation, around value, around new media marketing, around anything in the digital space. You can always follow my blog, which is the URL is provided here. So any questions, anyone? Do you want me to go to any of these slides to clarify any of these points? Please let me know.
Okay, so thank you so much for that very information loaded presentation. So anyone has questions or clarifications on any slides, please feel free to unmute yourself and have Manoj answer those.
Yeah, Manoj, it's really a great presentation, very structured. I just have one question. When small, small to mid-size service providers are trying to, build their sales process, and then trying
Mhm.
to, attract and retain the customers. What is that they need to do differently? I mean, I know they have a lot of constraints, including budget constraints and the number of salespeople and all that. So, any insights into the direction? I mean, are you have any experience working or guiding small companies?
So till now, I have only involved in enterprise selling, value selling from the enterprise perspective. However, value in general is a very, very generic concept, and any kind of sales, be it to an individual end customer, to a small or medium business, or anywhere, it is the centerpiece. So although having a detailed management consulting practice or investing into a very, very robust business case builder tool is not feasible for a small and medium businesses. However, these concepts are equally relevant for them. For example, a case study is a very important tool which a small business owner can also kind of maintain for them, or some customer reference who can be available for a reference check. A value map is something which is an industry specific tool, which is definitely not a very costly investment from a SMB space. They can make it in terms of what kind of value benefits various target industries can achieve. So at a very generic level, they can create such kind of marketing artifacts. Business cases also on a very generic level they can create, and in the end, it is always. I'll try to add one more aspect to it, that it is always two kind of value on which we need to appeal. One is business value, which can be convinced through value map, case study, or business case or scorecards, etc. And one is personal value, which in terms of, for example, a new CXO has joined or a new IT officer has joined in my target client organization. So his personal value is that he wants to establish himself very soon. He wants to showcase his impact to the higher management. So appealing to that personal value as well will do the trick in terms of closing the deal. I hope I have uh,
Yeah, definitely.
answered
No,
it.
thank you very much. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
Thank
an
you so
evolving
much.
field. Yep.
Yep.
So value is an evolving field and it will keep going on. I mean, but these are some very basic initial nuggets in which uh, we have been able to present it today. Yeah, Phil, you were asking something.
No, I was just like saying saying thanks for there's too much areas to cover, but you have covered most of them and providing it to our audiences. Thank you so much for that. It's very loaded in such a short time, so we appreciate your effort for delivering those information, uh, even if you only have 30 minutes. All right. So again, if there are any questions, you can put it through chat or Q&A, or you can approach Manoj through LinkedIn or through his email, or follow his blog. All right. Well, thank you so much,
Sure.
speakers, for today's webinar. The effort is really appreciated, delivering very loaded informations and valuable details. All right. So also, just to let you know, we have our live Youth Let Us Talk It webinar every other Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. So you can join our preparation sessions every Tuesday and Thursday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time by registering at our website, letustalkit.com/youth. So for younger youth group, we have preparation sessions Tuesdays and Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So this week we have live younger youth webinar on Friday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and the topic is favorite plants and their uses. So hope you all can join these youth webinars, which would encourage our youth as well. All right. So again, thank you for accepting my invitation to do the webinar today. It's just a pleasure for us, and for having those very important informations that will help scale the business and also understand the roles for each company and businesses. All right. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining our webinar session, and hope to see you all next time. Have a great day,
Thank
all.
you.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye
Bye.
bye. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.